aren't where we want to be, but and I'll take responsibility for that. But I still think, if we find the right formula, we could still have a pretty good season. So we've had a little bit of a rough start, but started with 2 road games, and then them. So they're difficult. I thought we kind of wasted opportunities. We played good enough defensively the first half. We just were bad on offense. So we just have a lot of work to do, but we're still kind of putting the pieces together. So I think that's probably the most difficult thing.
Coach, you guys had that 10-2 run to cut the deficit to just 4 points halfway through the second half, and then they responded with their own run. What happened in between you guys having the momentum and then all of a sudden it felt like you guys were struggling once again?
Well, I think Holmes made 3 threes, right? I mean, pretty simple. It wasn't like, and then we missed an open 3, right? He made 2 threes, we missed the open 3, and they came back and made another 3. So, I mean, it wasn't any magical formula. We just, he made plays when it mattered, and we didn't.
You guys had a poor shooting night, but until the last 4 minutes or so, you guys only went to the line 1 time compared to Dayton's 13 or 14. Was it just a game that it was just missing tough shots, or were you frustrated that you guys couldn't get to a line and sort of go after Holmes and Sanders more?
It's a great point. You can see he's trying to develop their bench behind those guys because he knows that if they get foul trouble, that could be an issue for him down the line. We couldn't put enough pressure in there on him to really get him in foul trouble. And that's one of our issues is we have trouble scoring on the block. That's probably one of our biggest issues. But it was a physical game. It was a high major referee game, and it was a well refereed game. And they don't call a lot, so that's kind of the kind of game I'd rather play anyway. So, we fouled in the second half, I think, a lot. Not as much in the first half. I didn't really look at the stat sheet, but it's an area we gotta get better at.
Keith, you talked about getting the right formula. In your mind, what is the right formula?
Jerry, we wouldn't have lost the last 3 games if I knew. So I'll use Jake DeMichael as an example. Like, my gut all year was he could play, and I started playing him, and right now he's playing better than anybody we have, really. He still has some things to learn, but so, I really don't know yet, what the right formula is. We try to give the older guys the first look, which I feel like is the right thing to do. But at some point, if we don't win, we got to play the younger guys. Simple as that.
Keith, Kareem talked about impacting the game beyond scoring, areas of the team that they need to impact the game beyond just scoring. So that's a big thing that really needs to get better as the conference season moves along. Where do you see those areas that need to be impacted beyond just scoring the ball?
Well, I think we need to hunt. I don't know if he used that terminology or not, but we need to hunt. We need to hunt energy-generating behaviors. That is deflections, taking the charge, offensive rebound, being on the help side, running the floor, and quit worrying about whether the ball goes in the basket. Clearly our best players have had their struggles offensively, which when that happens, it's pretty obvious your team's going to have issues, right? And again, it's not necessarily their fault. It's the group dynamic that is causing issues for them to play better. But the first half they had a rough first half, and again, that's part of that formula that's not quite right.
Coach, how confident are you in knowing your lineup and what combinations are going to work and, I guess, minutes distribution compared to where you were at the start of the season?
I think I just told you, right? I mean, not totally confident. I do think that Jake has won the spot behind those the older guards for sure. I think that one is pretty solidified. And then, you know, we have uncertainty at the 4 spot and uncertainty at the 5 spot. I mean, that is pretty much, we've got our brains beat in inside. Really, it's the 3 games we lost, we got beat up inside. Simple as that. I mean, tonight, UMass and at Loyola, we got beat up.
Coach, going back to D. Michael for a second, I mean, to come out and get 12 points against arguably the best team in the league, as well as 2 steals against 2 of the better guards in the league, what does that say about where his trajectory is and where he's at right now?
Well, the best thing about him is he just balls. He doesn't worry about anything. He doesn't worry about whether he plays. He doesn't worry about whether he gets shots up. He doesn't worry about, you know, what he goes, if he's in the first rotation, he just plays, man. Like, he doesn't have any agenda. And he plays loose and he's confident. And actually, the first scrimmage of the year at Temple, he did the same thing. So, like, we could have come to it much quicker, because in my mind, I knew he could play. I thought he could play. I guess I didn't know, but I thought he could. And you know, he's a deceptive guy. Like, he looks more like a piano player than a basketball player, right? But he can shoot the ball. He can pass it pretty good. He can drive it even. You know, like, everybody thinks he just stands out there and shoots it, but he's just deceptive. And then he's got a good toughness level about him. Like, again, he's not a finished product by any means, but you throw him in there against, you know, the last time out against Loyola, right on the road, he played well, and he played well again. Like, he's playing better than most everybody we have at this point. And again, he's got some deficiencies. He's got to guard the ball a little bit better and get to the help side a little bit better. But we haven't given him a lot of reps too. Like, we played him on the scout team just to get him a lot of reps, but he hasn't got a lot of reps with us. And he still goes out there and plays, but he's got a big brain. He's a smart kid. He's a straight A student. You can tell. He's got a lot of great qualities. But I think the most important thing is all he cares about is winning.
Keith, it's the first sellout, the home sellout for you in your tenure here. First sellout in the history of this place. What's it mean to see this place packed out like that? And to have guys like Austin Rotroff, Caleb Davis back here, you know, supporting the team. And you know, is this I guess part of what you envisioned when you took this job and in all those LaRoche days?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough haul, you know, playing 2 years outside of the building. You know, it's a tough deal, but this place has good potential. You know, it's much better than when we came. You know, Dave Harper's done a really good job of, you know, promoting men's basketball and, you know, really putting money into the program, which certainly had to be systemic, the issues that Duquesne had in the past. And, you know, it couldn't be all bad coaches, right? So, you know, I think the future's pretty bright, you know, down the line. You know, it's just a matter of getting over the hump, getting the NCAA tournament one time, and, you know, I think this place could be a pretty good spot. It's a good school, good administration with, you know, Dr. Gormley, and good board of trustees. You know, so look, I'm proud that they, you know, they continue to just stick by us through tough times, because that's what good administrations do, and not many do it anymore. So for us, you know, they stuck with us when we had the miserable year. We produced, and then, you know, we're a little bit of a tough spot, but everybody goes through it. So I told our guys, look, if you were no good, I would tell you. Like, we're not playing great, but I still think we have a chance to be a good team and be a team that, you know, people won't want to play at the end of the year. Now, we'll see. You know, we're in a tough spot right now, but it doesn't get any easier. We've got some of the hardest teams in the league coming up. You know, when you figure we have St. Joe, I think, St. Joe, St. Bonaventure, Richmond. Those are hard teams. Like, they're good teams. It's a good league. So when you're not playing great, it really makes it difficult. But the sellout was great. The students are great. I think it's a good deal for the students. You know, the good thing about this school is it's a small school in a lot of ways, right? So everybody knows each other. And if you have decent people in your program, which we do, then, you know, then it becomes a little bit tighter knit.
question's a hard act to follow. What do you think held back Grant and Clark tonight? They finished with decent numbers, but I think Grant didn't score until the last 5.5 minutes.
You talk about tough act to follow, that might be the hardest question anybody ever asked me in all my years of coaching. I think the main thing with most of those seniors is, clearly for 3 games they've had a hard time. Both of them. You look at their numbers; they're nowhere near where they usually shoot the ball and how they play. Which every player goes through that at some point or another, where they don't play great. They have tough times. So, I think part of it is, you get to your 4th and 5th year and you realize that it's going to be over soon. And you start worrying more about sometimes like, well, I got to play great because I'm going to be a pro next year. I got to play better. So I think sometimes you try too hard. They've been great. They're good. They're good people. Day works hard every single day. Jimmy's had some nagging injuries, but we're not going to win unless they play better than that. And again, I don't think it's all their fault for sure. I think, it's the group dynamics that is affecting them. So, a lot of times it's a guy here, a guy there, but they're going to come back around. They work too hard not to come back around. I think we overplayed them, a little bit earlier in the year, which probably hasn't helped them much. And so we're trying to cut them back a little bit, which is hard when you're not winning, but you have to. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Keith, how you doing?
Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while. I wanted to ask you, you've coached great teams and coached against great teams. What do you think of this Dayton team?
That's a really good question. When you look at like who they've played and who they've beaten and the games they've been in, you have to say they're a really good team. And what they have is they have that inside threat, but they surround them with shooting. And so, they lost the one little guard, Malachi Smith, which probably affects their depth some, but they gained a little bit of shooting in that deal too. So, Santos has played unbelievable for him. I think he's shooting like 48%, and Brea is one of the best three-point shooters in the country. And then Kobe Elvis has had an unbelievable year, especially when you get rid of the beginning part of the year. So, barring any injuries, they become difficult. And, people have to decide how they want to play Holmes. So last year, VCU beat them in the championship game by not doubling him, and he was killing them the first half, but Mike Rhodes stayed with it. So I think they're a really good team. They're really good defensively. That's what people don't realize, and they're multi-dimensional defensively in that, they can play man or zone. Now, we had pretty good success against the zone tonight, but UMass couldn't solve it. We had trouble against the man-to-man. So that's a good trait to have. And they can also press a little bit too, and they can rim protect with Holmes. And they can also play jumbo with the other big guy. So you can see what he's doing. He's really smart. He's a national coach of the year. He's really smart. He's developing different ways to play for when he gets into the NCAA tournament, which is really smart when you think about it, because if you play like one of those high majors that got those big whoppers inside, you have to protect their main player.
Right.
And so you can see what he's doing. He's winning, and at the same time developing an opportunity to go far in the NCAA tournament. Now, a lot's going to depend on, how good they shoot it and how good Holmes can play every single night.
Right.
Which in this league, he certainly is playing good every single night.
Right.
So I think they're good. They're good on both offense and defense, and they know exactly what they want to do. Now, tonight was a little bit of an anomaly for them. They turned the ball over.
Right.
Which normally you don't see too much of that. But that's what's unfortunate about what's going on with us is we've turned people over 17, 18, 19, and still haven't won. Which, if you turn people over that much, you should win.
obviously, guys know how big things are right now. Finding yourself 0-3, and as I'm sure you'd say, no one probably wants to win more than them. How do you toe the line between getting messages across, practicing hard, working hard, making sure guys understand the relevance, or not relevance, but the importance of this time especially, and also maintaining a light and enjoyable environment where guys, aren't getting too wrapped up in the way things have started out?
That's a terrific question. That's always a dilemma. It can't be like, it can't be like, digging ditches. We talked a lot about this, about, loving basketball versus loving the things that basketball does for you. So the greatest players love the game. Right? Now they also love what comes with it, the money and the fame, but they really love the game. And so, look, we just have to tell them the truth. We don't have to browbeat them. We don't have to scream at them. They want to play better. We just have to make sure that we're enthusiastic every single day and try to get better. And then be firm with them on playing the right way. Like tonight, I took Jimmy and Day out a few times when I thought their shot selection wasn't very good. I thought they handled it better tonight than they had all year. So they all want to get better. So again, like when I was young, maybe I'd yell and scream and have temper tantrums, but that's not really going to solve any of our issues. We just have to improve. And then we got to get our mojo back a little bit. We've beaten some good teams now. Like, it's not like we played chopped liver. We played a good schedule. We've beaten some teams that are in the top 100. And then we've played some good games against people that are in the top 50. So we're capable. We just have had offensive issues in the last three games. But it's a good point.
Anything else, Coach?
It's all right. I'll answer all night. I'm tired of stewing on it all.
Keith, it's another combination lineup question. How much does loyalty factor in this time of year as you're in mid-January? How much does loyalty maybe need to be removed considering where things are at now?
Loyalty is something that makes or breaks your career, really. If you're not a loyal human being, then you're not going to be a very good coach. But by the same token, it has to be results over feelings, right? Like, so, I've done what I thought was the right thing, and we have to keep experimenting until we get our formula correct. So, like, we have some guys that, like, I thought Trey Williams played pretty good tonight. Like, he did some good things. I thought he deserved the opportunity. He's been here a long time, and we won 20 games with him starting last year. So, pretty much we told him, look, some guys tonight, we told him some guys' feelings are going to get hurt in the future because we have to win games. That's what we get paid to do, and that's what they want to do. So we can't worry about their feelings, which is, I think that's the hardest part about being a coach. If you're sound morally and ethically, and you understand how miserable they're going to be if they don't play. You understand that, like, they could have the best student experience, they could get straight A's, they could love the school, but if they don't play, they're miserable. And I know because my son, plays, and when he didn't play, he was miserable. So I understand it better than anybody. So that hurts when there's good people that don't play. It hurts guys like me because I care. But by the same token, that's not what I get paid to do. So I try to take the personal feelings away and play the best players. That's why Jake's playing, because I feel like he's one of the best players we have. Go ahead.
Coach, on Wednesday you talked about how you feel like the team's been rebounding at a high level. Today you guys were out-rebounded by 12, but against one of the best centers in the country, arguably. What was your assessment on the rebounding tonight?
Well, it's pretty simple. We missed a lot of shots, so sometimes rebounding numbers are a little misleading because if you miss, they're going to rebound, 70% of the misses. right? The defensive team does, so. You know, we didn't offensive rebound as good as we've been, but we still got 11. You know, we gave up 13, and we probably gave up 4 or 5 early, right? So, I mean, we got hurt on the boards a little bit. I thought we got mauled inside. I mean, I think that's where we've had trouble. We have to do better. And we decided not to double tonight because we thought their three-point shooting would hurt us. And at times we played them pretty good. I thought Jakob did a better job on them than almost anybody we had, which is kind of ironic because he's a little light in the shorts, but he did a better job than most. Now, he's played with pro players, so maybe that's why. But, you know, they're not a particularly strong rebounding team if you look at the numbers. That's probably one of their weaker areas. What they are is they're very efficient. They're a very efficient team on both ends. So we have to be disappointed in the rebounding numbers under those circumstances.
Being led by Day and Trey, two pretty like perimeter-oriented guys, at least in the way that they tend to score the ball, especially in Day's case. What sorts of things offensively do you guys preach to the team when shots aren't falling? Like, what sorts of philosophies, if you will, are you trying to instill in these guys in terms of the way you want to play offensively? You know.
So I think numbers are influenced by your shot selection. So Day-Day's one of the best shooters I've ever had, but his numbers aren't very good. So that indicates to me that his shot selection isn't very good, right? Because if you're a really good shooter and you're not shooting the ball at a high level, then your shot selection's not very good, and or maybe you're tired. You know, you're missing shots because you're not getting enough rest. That you're expending a lot of energy at the other end, and you know. So usually, when push comes to shove, guys shoot their numbers. So what I mean by that is if they're career 38% three-point shooters or 40% three-point shooters, they tend to gravitate toward the mean. You know, so hopefully they gravitate towards the mean and we start to play a little bit better. But again, we're not getting out in transition as much. You know, we didn't control the backboard, so we couldn't run, because that's the best place to get open threes. And, you know, everybody's going to take Day-Day and Trey Clark away. Like they're not stupid. They know that those guys are our best players. So if you don't have enough around them, right, scoring wise, then that's reflected into their statistics as well. Anything else? All right, thank you very much.